Good evening, folks. Welcome to Rangers Rabble match reaction for our comprehensive defeat away to Ajax in the Champions League opener. Just welcome to everybody in the comments again. Get your comments in, get your questions in for the guys for the panel tonight. JD, Scott, Lee, guys, how are you?
I'm actually all right, Alan. I didn't expect anything better than that, to be honest with you. So I'm not as angry as I was at the weekend. I have to say that. I didn't expect anything tonight. So I'm not too bad.
Lee, how you feeling? Other than depressed?
Mate. I mean, a bit overconfident at the start, but I didn't expect that. That was an absolute shambles from start to finish, mate. I'm just fed up with it now, mate. I can absolutely sick to the back teeth here.
JD, you scunnered?
Aye. I've not been able to speak about it since the weekend anyway, but you always hope that our European form can come in and give us a bit of a lift. What's been doing is paper near the cracks in it, really, since January last year. So it's all coming to fruition now. We've ran out of fucking paper. So, aye. Listen, I was one of the stupid ones that thought we would perhaps... I said we could get 4 points off Ajax in these two games. What the fuck? Get to Ajax, man. They gave us a doing, didn't they? Doing.
Do you know what? I think we were all looking at through blue-tinted glasses. See, just before we go any further, folks, I want to thank M2 Competition Pilot for becoming a YouTube member. Folks, if you like the content, hit the subscribe button, become a member in YouTube. Give us that wee thumbs up for this pod. Every little helps. Anything you can do at all to help us would be fantastic. And hopefully we'll be able to talk through what we've just seen in the last 90 minutes of football. Do you know what? I'm going to start. I'm scunnered with it. You know, we lost on Saturday and it was pathetic how we played. And I thought, you know what, we can't play that badly. Can't play that badly again. We've came up against an Ajax team. No, Ajax are a very good team. They're going to beat better teams than us this season. Let's just get that out of the road. They are going to beat better teams than us this season. They'll probably go deep into this competition. They'll probably win their domestic league. I've not got a problem with that. And I've not got a problem with losing to teams that are that good if we show fight, if we show desire, if we play as a team, if we're willing to run through a brick wall for each other. We saw none of that tonight. We saw none of it on Saturday. And you thought, you know what, we can't get any worse, but we saw none of it again tonight. It was absolutely pathetic. We were getting praised in April and May for how fit we were. And yet, in August and September, we looked like we kind of last 30 minutes, let alone 2 games in a week. What happened in June and July? What did we do in pre-season to try and build on that? For me, it's just absolutely pathetic. Guys like Kamara, Lundstrom, Tav, Kent, they were getting praised in April and May for their performances that got us to a European final, that won us a Scottish Cup. Fast forward a couple of months, and there's absolutely nothing for these guys. These are our big players. These are the players we expect to turn up on these nights and show a bit of fight and a bit of desire. Connor Goldson. When was the last time Connor Goldson jumped at a corner kick to try and win a header? He hides behind the man he's supposed to be marking. That first goal, if Bassey had a free header, but he missed it. But he didn't need to make contact with it because there was somebody sitting behind him, got a free header on it as well. So there's 2 opportunities for us to challenge an attacking player in our box for a corner kick, and not one of our players done it. The 2 opportunities, a free header. That's pathetic. This is a professional football team playing at the highest level. It's absolutely pathetic for Rangers. That squad is not good enough. Yes, we're missing players. We missed Lawrence. Hadji's still out injured. Morelos has got his own issues, but we know how good he can be when he does come in. There's good players in there. We've seen good signs for Cholak. We know what Tav can deliver. We know what Lundstrom can deliver because we saw it last season. So what has went wrong? We've not improved. Ali McCoy said that at half time. We've not improved when we've lost Balogun, Aribo, Bassey. Yes, we've brought in the numbers to replace them, but we've not replaced them with quality in any way, shape or form. For me, tonight was just absolutely pathetic. I can take getting beat off a really good team, which we've done tonight, but we've done it with absolutely no hit, no fight, no desire, no heart. We played like a bunch of strangers. Some of these players were playing like they didn't want to play with the guy next to them. James Sands, possibly pass marks. Okay, he was unlucky with the deflection at the goal. But he's playing out of position. He's leaving a natural centre-back, and he's the one player who, for the past couple of weeks, we have been sitting saying, you know what, he done no bad this week. And he's not even a centre-back. He's honest, for me, tonight, I'm sorry, I've tried to stick up for him. I've tried to defend him. I thought the European run was fantastic last season. I loved every minute of it. I loved winning the Scottish Cup. But after the last 2 weeks, not just the last 2 weeks, because we've not been performing well so far this season, after what I've seen so far this season, I'm afraid I've joined the Gio's got to go camp. I know Gio's been let down by the board. He's not been given the money that we think he should have been given to spend. He's not been given, even if the board are going out and making the signings, which they probably are at this level of football, they're not bringing in the quality that Van Bronckhorst deserves, or any manager deserves to work with at the level that we want to be playing at, which is competing for the title in Scotland and at least putting up a show and showing ourselves on the good side in Europe. So Van Bronckhorst has been let down a little bit, but he's also the man that's sending that team out in the park and telling them his zonal mark and telling them to pass from side to side and be passive with our pressing and, you know, and not try and create, retain the ball and recycle it when things don't go right. There's no creativity there for me at all. So Van Bronckhorst has got a lot to answer for as well, as has the board, as has Ross Wilson, as has the players. But for me, right now, with that performance tonight, with those players that were on the park, the buck starts and stops with Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. Sorry, I had to get it off my chest.
That's the end of the pod.
Do you want to just stay the whole night, mate? This has been the Rangers Rabble. Thank you very much for your time.
Kerr, I'll hand it over to you because I need a break. I need a wee drink.
I can't really say much after you, Alan, apart from I just see a team that's not playing for each other, but a team that's not playing for their manager. I don't believe in what he's trying to tell them. I don't believe in each other. I don't think they're as bad as players as they're getting criticised for, but they're not giving me any evidence to see otherwise. But I do think we need a change. Gio's not going to walk. No way is he going to walk. Nobody walks away for a job. You get a sack, you don't walk away for a job no matter who you are, because it's just not a done thing these days. So I think the only way he goes is if he gets a sack. I don't see the board sacking him because the board are partly to blame along with Ross Wilson, whoever else is
I was going to say that, mate. Like, why would they sack him when he's a yes man? He's a yes man for the board now, so why would they sack him? He's doing everything that the board want him today, kind of keeping us on board with it. Like, even with wee comments the other day at the press conference, what was it? Oh, you all think that we've got a lot of money in the bank, but we don't. Like, what kind of comment is that to kind of make the night like this? Like, it's like we've not got lots of money in the bank. Like, that's just adding fuel to the fire. We're like, trying to get the fans back on board. It's just the whole club now, from top to bottom, is an absolute shambles, and I don't know where it actually gets fixed because the board and Gio are equally as complicit in everything here. The players, some of them just don't want to be here anymore. We're looking at Kent tonight, that performance, looking at Kamara, even players like Lundstrom, who have been like a mainstay, have been brilliant for us, didn't even look like they were asked. Like, what is going on behind the scenes now that is actually happening? Because it's not even like it was a 12-1 thing. Fair enough, we've probably been declining under Gio probably the entire time. But we're in a European final a couple of months ago. 3 months ago, we're in a European final. How have we managed to get to this position in 3 months? Not even a year, 3 months. It's just...
Yeah. JD, immediate thoughts on tonight? How are you feeling?
Now, obviously, you expect to get into these games to get something with it. I did not expect I expected a reaction. It doesn't get any... Saturday's worse for this than me. Saturday's worse. This is a inconvenience, the Champions League, really. Now, we wanted to be there, but after Saturday, it was a drain, but you're expecting them to go out and give you something. What did Ajax do? They fucking copied a blueprint that was set out on Saturday and done the exact same as in 30 minutes. Battered us, and yet again, you know, I'm a big fan, used to be Kamara, gesticulating to the ref every time, swanning about dead slow, no tracking back. Kent, you come to the second half, swanning back, gets caught offside, but it should have been 3-1 at that time. But he's swanning about. The egos have took over. I don't know what he says. Listen, a lot of these players will play in English Championship, and they will look back at this time and think, fucking made an ass of my career there. Because a lot of these players have been built up to what they know. They're no these great 20, 30 million players we all thought they were. Because the reason you are one of those players is you do it consistently. And these guys like Kent and that, what's Kent got? 3 goals in 55 games, something random like that, right? That's not a £20 million player, regardless of how well you played in the odd European game when the cameras were on or whatever. Somebody said that. No, Tav did. I don't think Tav came out. It was Ryan Jack again. There's another one. Tav and Goldson, they don't take responsibility, Alan. They don't take responsibility. I don't see them taking responsibility in anything. Corners, I always see the two of them pushing each other, getting in each other's way. Aye, I would shout out to Leon King. I thought he came on and stood up to the test. It's a tough night for a boy like that. Played out of position again. You know what? Get him flung into centre half. I don't give a fuck about Connor Goldson, whatever. I'd play King right centre half. It didn't bother me. Leon King's going to be a great player for us, but the rest of them, they were probably done after 55 because they've sailed through. I mean, domestically, we should never have lost the league last year, and we did. European run was brilliant, of course, but it's only great if you come away with something at the end of it. Are we all happy with a great European run and a loss in the final? Fuck that. Fucking losers, man. So, it was great, but we lost. We didn't get anything for it. So last year we got the Scottish Cup, which was fucking saving grace. Where we go now, man, when was the last time we had 2 4-0 defeats as well? When was the last time we were doing 3-0 in 2 consecutive games at half time? Big fucking worrying signs. This tactics, the setup, everything. I don't know what's going on. The players look totally different, and it all comes from your coach, doesn't it? Let's be honest. We can blame the players. You can, but the players, it's their job. Kerr tells you that it's their job. They'll go and follow the instructions they're given, and that's what they're given. And some of them aren't good enough.
And that's my point. That Van Bronckhorst, he's putting that team out in the park. He's giving them the instructions to play in a certain way. Somebody said in the comments, I think it might have been CGM actually, Van Bronckhorst can't make the players try, but he does set them up and he tells them how to play. He tells them what he's expecting when they're in possession, when they're out of possession, how they should be advancing the ball forward, what they need to do out of possession. And for me, that isn't good enough. If that's what has been put out in the park, let's the most boring thing in football. Let's talk about zonal marking just for a minute. We have said for weeks, why are we zonal marking? It does not work. Doesn't work in Scottish football, and it certainly doesn't work for Rangers Football Club with this current crop of players. The
Well, if you've got players that can play that. I mean, we've not got players that can play that. We've got players marking each other, like JD said. We've not got players marking the opposition. But Gio's watching this week in, week out. The players who aren't playing well and everybody's picking up on, and players have all criticised, a player we've all praised. But Gio's watching that for Saturday and he made one change. And people are saying drop the 11. It doesn't work. I dropped the 11 guys. You bring in a lot of young players, and it's not a good situation to put them in. Granted, I would do it, but you don't want to get in this situation that the club's not right from top to bottom. Gio's not going to work, but we need to bring in some bells. But I think it all started when Stevie G was there. He wasn't happy with getting back to the board. And then he left and Gio came in and everybody thought, this is Gio, ex-Ranger player, he's Dutch. The Dutch thing took over in everybody's mind. It wasn't how good a manager Jack Van Bronckhorst was, because we were told by Feyenoord fans what happened. But he was in Chinese league managing a team, but he can ex-Rangers player, Dutch, this Dutch philosophy. We all bought into it again. But I think it just shows you, Gerrard must have at that point, Stevie G left, and I'm not saying I would take him back, but when he was there, we always didn't play well, granted, but we never looked unfit. The players kept running for 90 minutes. Now the players look unfit. Lundstrom looks a shadow of himself. Lundstrom's escaping a lot of the criticism, but he looks a shadow of himself. Kamara looks like he doesn't want to be there. Kent's overstayed as well. Kamara, big Ryan Kent fan, as you know, but I think he's overstayed. But some of these players we can't get money for now because they've stayed too long. When we won 55, that team should have been almost broke up, but we didn't build. We just kept, a midfield on Saturday finishing a Jack, Arfield and is that Kamara or something? I can't remember.
Davis.
But Davis. They guys should have left a few years ago. Don't get me wrong, they've been good efforts, but you need to keep building. We've not built anything. And the board are saying we've no money. Where's all the money went? They need to pocket them for themselves. We've got severe debt, or they just don't want to tell us the truth. And as you know, Rangers fans are always last to know with the board. We're spending a fortune on merchandise. They're charging a fortune for tickets. They're screwing up away tickets. They're selling hospitality tickets, and fans can't get tickets for Ibrox. We're just treated like shite. Basically, the fans have been treated like shite. But they think, they'll accept it because our diehards will come and go. Has to be a point to say no more. And I'm not saying don't go, but stop buying this, stop buying that. We need to make see if Aberdeen won on Saturday. And by the way, it's no time. Aberdeen now will be the most confident we've ever been facing us. They always give us a game, but 2 games and get beat 4-0. We were all laughing at Dundee United a few weeks ago. This is up at fucking their standards. And it's time for, I don't know, the board have to look at something, but if the board do anything now, then they put themselves in the chopping block as well to see we made mistakes. I'm not going to do that. I don't care what anybody says. The board are not going to admit to stuff. Ross Wilson not going to admit to stuff. And Gio came out with his usual line that when he starts speaking, you actually get lose interest when Gio starts to speak because you think, my God, this is the same crap again. No, there's something wrong with the club, and I hate to say it, but we're not going to be anywhere near winning anything this season.
Yeah. Can I jump in on that, Kerr? Because I think that's a good point you just said about Gio, right? And a lot of Rangers fans got a bit of abuse on Twitter for calling it out. Oh, it was almost like racist, right? Gio's interviews, he was like, and they were saying, oh, that's not his first language. How? Listen to Gio's interviews. He's always very cautious. Comes across, he doesn't know what to say. This is not a language barrier. This is a guy who's maybe he's watching what he's saying. If you go to Gerrard, take away the language barrier and a lot of shit, Gerrard will come out and say stuff, and he says it. Van Bronckhorst seems to be like he's towing the old party lines, like you would hear the stereotypical managers under pressure says. Whereas rather than coming out like that, yeah, they were terrible, no right, blah blah blah. So the whole thing about a lot of fans were saying, oh this it's not a language barrier, it's not a day with him being Dutch and not being able to speak. It's not like the old we're doing that Arsenal manager, good evening, right? That was a bit piss. This is Van Bronckhorst being so cautious and scared to say anything, to criticise. Does he come out in the conference the pre-match and say something about like not being able to change a losing side? Like, seriously, like, when do you fucking change your team? When they're winning? So he's kind of saying we don't to make too many. I get you don't make too many changes, but to make a point or to prove a point, he should have made a few more changes, but we didn't. I don't know.
There's splits in the dressing room for me. It's not just one split, there's a few splits.
I would think so. I would think that there's something going on there. As you said, Kieran, the Rangers fans, we're the last people to know. We're the last people to find out. And you can debate the rights and wrongs of that all day, all night. You know, Rangers for years, you know, going back the 90s, 80s and beyond, Rangers for years, our business was done behind closed doors, and a lot of people like that. Then we weren't front page, we weren't back page, we were only back page for the sports side of the club, football side of the club. In this day and age, with social media and news outlets being available, fans want to know more. And you know, you can argue, no, we should do things behind closed doors and we should do our business in quiet. But at the same time, we are putting more and more money into this club. I mean, I'd try to think, even for this end of last season, for the Scottish Cup final up until this point, with season tickets and merchandise and the UEFA Champions League package and the other games that we've got, I'd try to think how much money I've put into this club in the last few months. Okay. In actual fact, I was praying we got an away game in the League Cup quarter-finals. just to save me 20 quid. Just to save me 20 quid.
I'll be 25, Alex, against Indeed.
I'd dread to think how much money I've spent. So should we be the last to know, Lee? We're stakeholders here. Should we be the last to know what's going on?
There's some people that say it's like we're just being professional in that sense now, but there's a difference between professional and just being silent with stuff. Like I don't know if it was with you guys, I spoke to my pals about it, but see this whole every single kit that gets released, and Jade is it Sports Direct are the first ones to like leak it. That doesn't say to me that they're just doing that like every single time. Or that says to me that there's some fucking deal behind the scene where they get to put it out, they get to show it, and then it gets maybe taken up or something like that, and the board are just being quiet. I feel this board are just taking us as mugs every single time when it comes to anything. When it comes to like even that CTM stuff the other day, like only when it's got to like the last moment where like the flight's now coming back to press week that they release a statement, even though there's already been so much hassle with multiple ones before it. And then that one, they're flying down to Brussels instead of Amsterdam. But they weren't going to say anything until it finally, like, straw pulled the camel's back with the press week stuff. Just, mate, the board are just taking us off for a ride. They don't care anymore. We are our customers, and that's all we are, as customers to the board. And it's not going to change until some members, like, is that James Bisgrove? Is he the one? He's the one probably most culpable for it. Like, admittedly, he's said himself that he's not a Rangers fan, and you could maybe give him a bit of leeway with the whole Sydney Cup stuff in that sense. But you've got members of the board who will know full well that was an absolute disaster, who just let it happen because it's a commercial side of it. And it's going to keep happening until I don't even know, what do we do? Would stop? Just full on point blank stop paying them? Stop going to these things? Because do we need to do a protest for it? Because it's not going to change otherwise.
You're spot on. The club, and listen, this isn't unique to Rangers. This happens at every football club. They take advantage of your brand loyalty, and that's what it is. It's brand. That's how they see us. We're customers. We have brand loyalty. If you go to a supermarket and you get bad customer service and you don't get quality for money, you go to another supermarket. We're not going to go and watch Airdrie at the weekend. We're still going to go and watch Rangers. And the club, every club in Britain at least, probably the world, take advantage of that. But for me, that's shite and all. Because they're taking advantage of us, but they're ripping the piss out of us at times. We're the people that are continually putting thousands of pounds every year into this football club, not just into the football club, but the money that it costs us to go to games, bus fares, train fares, petrol money, few beers for some, a few more pounds for some beers because you need to start drinking you to watch Rangers these days. Let's face it. This costs us a lot of money. And for me, they're just keeping us in the dark and they're treating us like absolute shite right now. And I don't see it changing. And even if there's changes within the board at Ibrox, I don't see it changing because I think this is just how football is going. You look at what's happening at some of the clubs down in England. Let's take Manchester United as a prime example for that. This isn't unique to Rangers. This is happening all over the world. And as long as we want to be a top club, this is how the fans are going to be treated. Anyway, I'm sorry because we are here to talk about the match. Unfortunately, we could go into detail about what's going on at Rangers and what's wrong at Rangers. Again, it's a whole other podcast. I've got the funny feeling that might be coming soon. But
Sorry, just say something. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's all people are coming in the comments saying, well, James Bygrove's job's to bring in money. He's done that, right? And he has. The players' jobs to come in and win games, and they have. The boards to come in and bring in players, and they have. Van Bronckhorst, and they have. But every single person, nobody's getting it right. See my job, and you can make wee mistakes. You need to really do your job right every single time. Bygrove's brought in a few commercial deals that have collapsed. It's embarrassing for the club. We buy players that don't work. It's embarrassing for the club. Everybody in the club is making mistakes. It's not just like the players that make mistakes or the board are shite, but like the European one, the players are dragging. We're hiding all that shit in the background. Everybody's making mistakes. Everybody's making mistakes.
All I know is, but they need to use. Why is any players they've brought in? But you look across society, right? We don't like to look across here, but what Andrew's done there, he's brought in guys he's identified probably himself from Japan, for other leagues. And they come in and the run through break was for them. They get beat 4-0 the other night, but by all accounts, the first half they gave as good as they got. Whereas, who's Gio probably brought in and he knows? Gio probably didn't know much about Tom Lawrence.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I was having this conversation? I can't remember who it was with, but I was having this conversation last week. How many you would think the Dutch league, having managed there, having won a title there, being Dutch, having played there,
contacts there, everything.
Yeah, that's his contacts. That's his forte. He knows everything about the Dutch league. How many players for the Dutch league? We've not signed any, but how many players for the Dutch league were we even linked with since Giovanni van Bronckhorst came in? Joey Veerman, we were linked long before Van Bronckhorst came in. The centre back, his name escapes me. I can't remember.
Doki, the boy, Vitesse or something like that.
Who linked to these players?
Do you think Steven Gerrard took that? Steven Gerrard wanted to identify a player probably himself or be involved in it.
He brought in Kent. He brought in what was that useless boy's name? Ojo.
Aye. Ojo.
But Gio seems he's more like a coach. He's like they bring in the players and say, "You coach these guys." I mean, they brought in Dave Voss, who was at Ajax, wasn't he? And he must know a lot about their young players. Guys are only going to make it and probably think, well, they could do a job with Rangers. But used to be been linked with no one person.
This is where Ross Wilson.
It's strange to me.
It's where Ross Wilson's ego is taken over because he found Sadio Mane for Southampton. That wee guy's living off that. He's living off that. So he's now got a scouting team that he'll be going to and he'll be telling Gio, you want a right winger? There's Rabbi Matondo. That's the man. No, it's no. Van Bronckhorst, I believe a manager or a coach should be saying, I need these players. These are the ones that I want. Can we get any of them? No, there's your player. Deal with it.
When a director of football is running the recruitment department, that's how it works. So the director of football brings in the players, and the coach, the first team coach, or the manager, whatever you want to call him, he needs to work with the players at the first team. The director of football comes in. Gone are the days. It still happens. It still happens at the top level, but gone are the days where every recruitment recruitment team is run by the first team manager. And again, you can debate what I don't like that. I would prefer it being run by the manager, but you can debate whether that's right or wrong. But that's exactly what's happening. And I'll take you back to the transfer window. How long did it take us to sign somebody?
The middle of July or something like that, before we'd even seen somebody.
That tells me, with the value of hindsight, that tells me that we were trying to bring in our first choice players that Van Bronckhorst might have had a say in and Van Bronckhorst might have wanted. And it got to the stage where we realised we weren't getting them. And Ross Wilson has hit the trigger with some of his contacts and brought in some players that he thought would be acceptable, like Tillman, who will come on to. I want to talk about Tillman. And Van Bronckhorst doesn't know anything about these, and he's just going to have to work with who he's got. It's not his first choice. It might not necessarily be who Van Bronckhorst wants. As I said at the start, I do have a degree of sympathy with Van Bronckhorst, but he's still the one picking the team and sending them out with those tactics and that setup. So he's got a lot to answer for as well. So it's from top to bottom. We've all said it. People have said it in the comments. By the way, keep your comments coming in. I am struggling to keep up with them, especially since I'm on my high horse quite a lot tonight. But please keep your comments and your questions coming in. I'm just seeing as well that Gio has apparently said that Tav's been injured for weeks. There's another question. Why continue to play him?
Why play him then?
See, even then, why send it? The Polish boy on loan. See if you know he's injured, right? And he has been.
Was he good enough?
See if he's not good enough, but right. So we've got Reece Devine there now. So who if we get back up for him for a couple of weeks? It would be Leon King.
I think King's more likely to play at right back if Tav's injured.
Even then, see, if he's been injured for weeks, if we had the confidence in Devine this whole time for that full week, couple of weeks, no. He didn't come on the night, so there's a couple of weeks of the transfer window if we've known for a while. Try and get somebody in a 6-month loan. Even if it's just a right back for 6 months, if you know he's going to be injured and you're not fully confident in your backup right back, it's just negligent. It's just so poorly run.
I think you're spot on. If he's come out now and said, it's all excuses, right? We all heard it. But if Tav has been injured, Lee's spot on. If we know Tav's injured and we've got Ajax and Celtic coming up, Celtic and Ajax, why do we not bring somebody in? 6 months loan deal. MD, you could get a Prem player for that to help us just get through that period. But we've no. Listen, I said I would rather play a 60% fit Tav than no play him. It's probably backfired on us now, but if he's injured, he's injured. But it's another one whose performances have dipped this season and all. I don't care what anybody says.
I think you need Tav fully fit for the way he plays. I think having him nowhere near fit, he struggles. Because his game has gone forward and crossing the ball. And he's not been crossing the ball as much because obviously he's got a groin injury or something. But if he's not fit, then it just shows you the state we're in. Put him in the first team, starting him every week, and if you could, because he doesn't trust anybody else, basically.
I don't want to keep going back the way and looking back the way, but we did say it a couple of weeks ago in the pod, before the transfer window shut, before the Celtic game, we needed a centre back because we've got so many injuries there, and we needed cover for right back. We let Leon Balogun go, and we let him sign for QPR. Good luck to him there, but for me, even a short-term deal there to take us up to January. We could have. I think he would have came back in a heartbeat, but we've let him go, and we know what we're going to get there. It makes the point that we had the opportunity to bring players in to cover these positions, and we just haven't bothered for whatever reason. I wonder what's going on. Ever since since when we qualified at PSV, I expected us to bring in at least one player. I expected us to do something, and for whatever reason we haven't. There's questions to be asked there. As I say, we could ask those questions all day.
Do you think they were happy just qualifying?
I think qualifying. I said it in our chat earlier on, Kerr, or a couple of days ago. I think qualifying's been the peak of your season. I feel that's it. Yeah, I feel that's it.
Didn't the Arsenal qualifying for the Champions League and been happy? Is that right, Alan?
By the way, big thank you to Di Rebus, I think that is, with the super chat. Get Tuchel in, at least he doesn't straight out lie. Listen, I don't think we're going to ever be able to afford somebody like Thomas Tuchel, but it's nice to dream about it.
I'm going to take him.
Listen, it's a hypothetical question because we're never going to get somebody like Thomas Tuchel in. And you know what? Right now, Van Bronckhorst is the man that's there. He is the manager, and until we know differently.
How long is his contract? Does anybody know, Gio?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know why I don't, mate. Because I know it's not short. Don't why I know.
It's not like a year rolling into it. No, it's longer than that.
Walter Zenga going to the complete opposite end of the scale. Saying David Martindale from me. Listen, we've spoke a lot about what's wrong at the club in the last 30 minutes. And I think we've all sort of got a lot off our chest. It feels good, doesn't it, JD? It feels quite healthy to get this off our chest.
Aye and no.
Listen. See before you go any further. See before you go any further. That wasn't very charismatic.
Sorry, mate. I know I'm struggling to be charismatic tonight. I didn't want to. I've been hiding since Saturday, so I didn't want this. I would prefer to have come on and a nice, decent result or a good performance. I would even have took a defeat if we'd come out and played well, but we've no. So
it's probably better getting results like this straight away. You know, you don't want it to happen halfway through a season, and then you might be
confident it's not going to happen again, mate.
I think it will happen, but you didn't want it to happen if you think we're in a chance of getting this, we're in a chance of getting that. At least it's happened in now where if the boards get any nuts, they can make a change, but I don't think they will. If you know what I mean. I think people say, I've seen comments and see other people saying, but he got you to a final last year, he won the Scottish Cup. He did, but there's a lot of other stuff in our end of this where we feel badly in the league. We watch every week and the tactics are poor at times, and there's just too many negatives for me and not enough positives.
That's it. See that, and we were only listening because when we brought in the Dutch boys, the Feyenoord fans, Feyenoord hadn't won a league in was it 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It was something like that. Van Bronckhorst delivered the title for them, and it petered out and he left. We brought these boys on thinking these boys are going to come on and tell us how good Gio was, and I was shocked in that podcast because the two of them were so flat and they were a bit like that. Aye. Yeah, but their lasting memory of Van Bronckhorst wasn't how good he was to win the league for them. It was how shit a team they were at playing football, and everybody laughed at them and how terrible it was, and the fans hated them. And that's what their lasting memories were. And they kind of warned us and we never listened. And I don't want to dig Van Bronckhorst. I want it to work. He's brought in all these Dutch. We're all thinking, well, Dave Voss, and now this boy from Man City, Bowley. What is happening? Van Bronckhorst, if Van Bronckhorst is the main man, he says, I want to play it defensive. I'd rather keep the 0 before we score a goal of that pish and play this horseshoe. We get caught out again tonight. Ryan Jack's first instinct was, when the ball comes into me, I'll just play it back your way. He's no match sharp. Bad pass, away it goes. I fit Ryan Jack, another regime, pulls that ball in. He can turn the ball in a fucking phone box and play a forward pass, doesn't he? We're caught out again. It's the tactics. And this horseshoe thing needs to stop. We were screaming after Parkhead in February when they gave us a doing, and Borna's instinct was just to turn back and play the ball back. With no change, we are going to play this way going forward, and that's Van Bronckhorst's way of playing football, and we will need to either suck it up or he'll need to go.
And that's what I mean by it's no good enough. I mean, you would have think we learned after February at Celtic Park. You would have think we learned our lesson. They gave us an absolute doing that night. In the first half, they gave us an absolute doing. You think we would have came away from that and gone, you know what, that's not going to happen again. We're not going to let that happen again. You know what, we did let it happen again on Saturday. And we kind of let it happen again tonight. I keep going back to the fact that Ajax are a top side and they're going to beat better teams than us. But the way we played, the setup, the fight, just the passion in our team, there was none of it whatsoever. And that comes down to Van Bronckhorst. We haven't learned lessons for the past. I just don't know where we go for here, Kerr. I don't know.
It's hard, Alan, because we all want to see the team compete. We want Gio to be successful. I mean, we hate criticising the players. I hate criticising them. I'm always trying to stick up for them, but it's hard at the times like this. I mean, that's 2 defeats in a row, 4-0, both games. And the night you can probably take and think, well, I was expected Ajax to beat us, but Saturday one was worse because we've seen it last season. I don't really know where we go. I know we just have to go to Aberdeen on Saturday, hopefully get a result, but I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to be shouting about other names, aren't they? I mean, somebody just mentioned Kevin Thompson or Barry Ferguson. Yeah. Kevin Thompson, to me, I like to see it in the coaching staff somewhere. Barry Ferguson, no. Sorry, I don't want Barry. Barry's a great player, but I don't want him in the coaching staff. I've seen him managing and I've been in the ground when he's been managing and he has arguments with fans and wants to say about fans, and that's not really for me. But I just feel, I don't know how to use it. I just feel this season, Gio doesn't look as happy. I don't know, I just think he looks a beaten man, do you know?
I don't like the chat about who replaces him, because I think the chat needs to be about should he stay or should he go, or should we change tactics? Should he let the handbrake off, go more attacking? Should we do all that? I think we should be talking about who replaces him once that's going to happen. I know the board might be doing that in the background, but I think it's so hard to sit there and say, it's so hard to sit in there and say, we should replace him with this. And hindsight's a great thing. Oh, we should have took Lampard, we should have took this person. Hindsight's a great thing. But it's tough.
It's a hypothetical situation, isn't it? Until the board do something, or Van Bronckhorst does something, it's hypothetical. Van Bronckhorst is the Rangers manager, and you know, as much as I said, you know, I'm firmly in the camp. I think he needs to go now. They've all still got my backing because he still is the Rangers manager. And as long as he's in that position, we need to back him because that's what we do as supporters. There's no point going to Ibrox every week and getting on his back when he's trying to do a job for us. But I just don't think that it's working for him. I really don't. And I'm gutted to say that because Van Bronckhorst, you know, he was, you know, one of my favourite players of that era, the Advocaat era. Probably could have been my favourite player. You know, I went on to have a great career. We all know how fantastic he was. So a wee bit, you know, I wanted him. I really wanted this to succeed, but for me, it's just not succeeding, and that's unfortunate. But that's what happens in football. It doesn't always work out. Lee, let's talk about some of the players that have came in, and particular their performance in the last couple of games, but particularly tonight. Let's start with Malik Tillman.
Mate, just looks like a wee boy out there. Looks like a wee boy. I think I can't remember what goal it was in the game on Saturday, where like ball comes getting crossed into the box and he doesn't even chase the boy. Literally just lets him walk by him. I think it might have even been the first goal. Just lets it. There's no effort from him, mate. Like you can have all the fancy tricks in the world and keep the ball close, but he's just showing the effort. And I don't know where it's came from. Is it just one of the ones where he's getting chucked into a situation like big games like this, and he's feeling overawed? We saw it with Diallo at Celtic Park. We saw it with him at Celtic Park. We saw it again tonight. So it's just one of these games where he's an experience, where he's not doing something. But it's a whole team, mate. There just seems to be there's an attitude problem. And I genuinely don't know how do you fix an attitude problem? That's where it comes back to the manager. So I don't know, mate. I don't know what to think.
JD, how do you fix that attitude problem? Because it's not just Tillman. You know, we've saw it with other players as well, not just the new players, but as I say, Tillman's the one we're talking about. How do we sort that problem? Because we've saw glimpses of Tillman, friendlies in Livingston. Okay, I appreciate it's only friendlies in Livingston, but we saw glimpses of Tillman being a good player. So how do we get the best at him? How does Van Bronckhorst get the best at him?
I think it's one of the new age football players, mate. I've said this before, like they're pampered. Boy's been pampered all his days. Doesn't know how to do a shift when everything's going right for them. Love it. Tillman, we've called him on here. What could be a world-class player. We've called him on here. Again, he could be a world-class player, could leave Rangers and be a world-class player. It's a different kettle of fish playing with Glasgow Rangers. And he can do it to Prem and have a great career in all these mid-table Prem teams and make himself a multi-millionaire. That doesn't mean that it could work at Rangers. I mean, hundreds of players just didn't have the gut or the heart to date for Rangers and done all right down south and made themselves millions. So I don't know if it's an attitude thing. I think it's a confidence thing. Barisic is another one. You see it with Tav and Goldson, as soon as some chips go down, they flap and they're panicked. During 55, we can go back. You might not like me saying it. They already coasted through it. Training games, they coasted through it. As soon as that pressure of the Ibrox crowd comes on you, it's a different kettle of fish. So it's a confidence thing for me, and I think a lot of them are devoid of that, or they need an arm around them every second. We can't afford that at our club. Signing for Glasgow Rangers should make you the most confident person in the world. You should be able to walk onto that football park and do it. A lot of these boys nowadays, I don't know if they can stand up to that test. Perhaps that's the fans' fault. It's no, because we demand a high standard for our club because we've seen winner after winner come through the gates. So it's just a confidence thing for me. Attitude, you can point at that as well, but I don't know.
Kerr, just sticking with some of the new players, Matondo, he was in the team, he's out the team. From what we've seen, is he good enough?
It's hard to judge him. He's not had decent run of games. At the moment, he looks below par, doesn't he? He looks a bit timid. You can see he's got a wee bit of talent there, but he needs a run of games to prove it. At the moment, you probably see he's not near it. He's in and out too much. I mean, so I don't think Gio trust him as much as maybe Scott Wright. I don't know why, because I probably just trust Wright more because he's played more and he's Wright can come back and defend. And Wright gives 100%, but he can't go up on that level. He's not good enough. Matondo's still young. He might turn into a really good player, but I don't think it was a player we really needed to bring in, to be honest with you. I think we should have brought in somebody better. I mean, you could put Daffield there at a push tonight, give you a bit more defensive, but
Yeah.
Matondo, I don't know. I just think you need to give him time. Tillman's the same. You can see that Tillman's got. He's 20. He's in and loan for Bayern Munich. He's not put a lot of first team games. He's still a young lad, and you can see he drifts in and out of games. It's difficult because, like JD says, when you're winning and everything's great and these guys are up for it, when you're getting beat, you're wanting people to fight and you want to be next to somebody who's going to fight with you. And some of these guys do hide. He's not the only one. Some of the experienced guys hide as well. But it's hard to judge on players like this, I think. But when you're on loan as well, it's difficult because when you're on loan, you know, in the back of your mind, I might not be here next season anyway. So it's always hard to judge on loan players. But I think Matondo needs time, and I think Tillman has ability, but it's difficult to judge him.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, there's some amount of Celtic fans watching us now commenting. I seen them get beat 4-0 last night, and we get beat 4-0 the night. They were at home, we were away. They had Real, granted, we were at Ajax away. It's fucking very level peg here. They come on and laugh after you get beat 4-0 is weird. Anyway, they did pump us at the weekend. I don't like this whole we need to give folk time. I think that's fucking a joke that we need to give players time. I think that's mental. £3 million in each time.
I know, I get what you're meaning, but we can't bring in ready-made players. I don't think we can do that as a club.
How can we not? Well, other clubs do it.
I know, but I don't know. We've just not done it. When's the last time we brought in somebody
I
that
know.
had to date running?
No,
Yeah,
I know.
Even going back to bringing in like Barisic and Kent at them time.
How can people say
Even look at
Mongo's played well? He's not played well ever. He's not played well. I said this earlier. If he's not good enough to play with Schalke, he's not good enough to play with Glasgow Rangers. End of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a valid point there. You know, I don't think we're ever going to sign. We're not going to be in a position to sign the top quality players that we want us to sign. I think gone are the days where we bring in people like Brian Laudrup, who come in with that top experience, you know, winning European Cups and playing in major European Championship finals for your country, and they come right into the Rangers team. I think that's where we're at, you know, because probably at the time where we were signing those types of players, the lower half of the English Premiership never had the money that it had, and it never had the pool that it had. But fast forward to 2022, and you know, you've got teams in the lower half of the Premiership who can offer really good money and offer you the chance to play in, you know, some of these amazing stadiums against amazing teams. So it makes it harder for Rangers to bring in those types of players. So we can't buy those top quality players, Lee, but why can we still not sign players that come in and hit the ground running right away that instantly become a success? What's stopping us from doing that?
Mate, does it boil down to the fact that we've got a director of football who's making all these decisions? So we speak about Gio, and even if Gio had a tactic of his own that he's going to use, how can he implement these players into that tactic when he's not the ones that picking the players? He doesn't know the all the fucking strengths and weaknesses in that sense. We're bringing in players and we're going down this route far too much where it's a project player. And you just look at our luck as well. Look at Yilmaz. He's maybe the most accomplished of them all. Already a Turkish international, playing for Besiktas. And he's probably got the one player in the team with the last couple of games who's got pass marks to get ahead. Like, it's just constant, mate. Like, it just feels like our luck is done. And so, like, many aspects of that sense. If you looked at the summer where we were linked to part with that Fulgini boy, the boy for, was it Angers or something? He part of the full article.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Evander, who, mate, he's played for Midtjylland, fair enough, maybe a wee bit pricey. But you telling me that he wouldn't come to us, Champions League, we got all that, he would have been a finished player for us. But yet we just keep going for these players that are so-called projects, and it's just frustrating, mate, because I can't remember the last time we brought in a player who was actually ready to hit the ground running. Cholak maybe to an extent, he's been there, done that, but it's just frustrating.
I think Lawrence has done it, because Lawrence has come in. Lawrence has probably at his peak, because he's been about. But you wonder what the Ross Wilson that's looking at. Are they looking for players maybe 25 and under to develop and be a selling so they can resell for money to bring money back to the club? Or is he telling people we can't sign A, B and C because they're at an age where no return? So you don't know where the scouting department's going. I'm looking for young talent to bring in and improve, and say alone, I'm looking for a bit more experienced players, maybe like Tom Lawrence, players like that, and think they're going to come in and hit the ground running, but we're having to give them maybe top wage, but there's no selling fee, so you don't know what way the club's looking at it, because at the end of the day, we're a business, and the way the money's went with the players we've sold, the club are enjoying that, and they think, like, we need to keep going this route. So if that's the case, and you might see players like Alec Lowry once he's fit. I know Cole McKinnon's get a lot of suitors at the moment playing with Thistle. I know Newcastle's watched him a few times, Southampton's watched him, and a couple of teams have watched him, so Cole's getting a lot of people coming to watch Thistle games because he's there. So are Rangers looking at it and we can bring players through and sell them on, or do we buy players a bit older like Lawrence and think, right, that's going to get us to one thing? You don't know what way the ball's looking at, because at the end of the day it's a business, and obviously money comes first to them.
Yeah, CGM said in the comments, is our model buying cheap and selling high? It could be, that's maybe what we're looking to do. We've done it with a couple of players. We've brought them in the cheap. We've sold them quite high. Rangers need to do that. Let's face it, we need to do that to bring in money on a regular basis. And again,
look at Aribo and Bassey. They came the one they took time to get in and settle. Bassey, when he first came, Mill wrote him off. And look at him now.
Even this time last year, when Bassey started playing at centre back, we were all going, "Well, this guy's never going to be good enough. Couldn't he win a header? Couldn't he slide a daily record under him when he jumped at times?" But here we are. We've just sold him for nearly £20 million. Listen, we could debate about the players.
There's players out there if you actually go and look, but it depends who you're looking and what you're looking for.
See, that's what it is. It's where you look, mate, because you hate bringing them up. But they're bringing in, Juranovic, full-blown Croatian international is 2.5 million. We've done that with Barisic, and fair enough, it's worked out for us. But ever since then, we're just gone for that kind of cheaper player in that sense. Whereas them across the road, they seem to be finding the balance. They actually spending, kind of cheap transfer fees, but bringing in players who are already up to scratch. And it helps massively the fact that, freaking Ange is getting the chance to actually, these are players that he's, seen, he's coached. So he's actually been able to run the roost over them, and he's bringing in players that he knows how to use in a system, and he's getting them for cheap. I don't know, mate. I feel I'm just heavily frustrated with the whole thing, and I don't know where they're going, mate.
JD, things obviously need to change. We've got Aberdeen at the weekend. Things really need to change. I'm going to throw two names at you for starting at the weekend. You can tell me whether you agree or not. Leon King and Charlie McCann. Yeah,
100% for me. I was disappointed when McCann didn't even make the bench. He didn't make the bench in the film game, didn't he not? So I was disappointed with that. I don't think he's in the European squad, is he? So again, he perhaps wouldn't be in there tonight anyway, but they've got to play. They've got to play. When Alex Lowry's back, the thing that's going to keep his head in the game is to play. So he's got to play or you could lose a talent like Alex Lowry to the other side of the game or a big club. So they boys have got to play. Lowry's going to be out for a while, but King came on tonight and stood up to it. He's probably going to need to play right back. I just want to play him at centre half now. He's good enough, he's composed enough, and the same goes with Charlie McCann. We've seen it. God bless Steve Davis, he's been amazing, but I would much rather a Charlie McCann came on tonight and got a 10-minute spell than Steve Davis.
Yeah. Just want to say a big thank you to John Batchelor for the super chat, and David Appleyard. Sorry, David, I saw you earlier joining as a member in YouTube. So big thanks to that. Again, everybody, if you like what you're hearing, if you like the content that the Rabble put out, hit the subscribe button, join us as a member on YouTube, like it on Twitter or love it on Twitter, whatever it is. Hit the wee thumbs up on YouTube as well, and keep your comments coming in, because every comment that gets made, whether it be in the live chat or afterwards, helps the Rangers Rabble. So everybody, and I mean everybody that's making comments, thanks so much for supporting the Rangers Rabble. You've no idea, every little helps. So keep your comments coming in, regardless of what team you support. Guys,
I can't concentrate for blocking them all. Just keep blocking them, man.
Mate, it's constant, isn't it?
Listen, keep making your comments, because it's helping us. You know what? Every comment you make helps us buy a pint for our night out at the end of the year. So,
I actually don't want to need a pint.
I got a bleach at this rate, mate. Jesus Christ.
Guys, I want to wrap it up, but before we do, because I know we've got some content coming towards the end of the week, we've got a podcast tomorrow night. The subject of that is still to be determined, because it might change after tonight, and we've got our phone in on Friday. And then, of course, we've got our match day podcasts on Saturday with our game away to Aberdeen. But before we go, loads of people have been asking in the comments. So I'm going to ask all of you just to chip in with your opinions here. Where do we go for here with Alfredo Morelos?
For me, I'll go first. Morelos fully fit and firing. He plays. Čolak perhaps would maybe score more goals, but overall play, I think Morelos is a lot more dangerous and can create stuff for himself. We'll go back to what Martin has said. Čolak is a Chris Boyd striker, man. He gets a chance, he will score. Doesn't get people defend him, or doesn't get the service, doesn't get the delivery. Morelos sometimes doesn't need service and delivery, will create something for himself, so it's a hard one to balance. But I seen Morelos get a lot of shit at the start off of folk. Morelos, there's been a fucking break, whatever's happened in the dressing room, whatever, right? The last two performances are fuck all to do with Alfredo Morelos, so he's not even anywhere near the squad. It's all the other players. It's all the other players have to take blame for these last two games. So I think after the last two games, if he's fit, he gets through. It's a Hail Mary here. You throw him back in, maybe not a Hail Mary, that's the right thing to say, but you throw him back in. That's what I would.
Lee, Morelos.
Okay.
Sorry, JD.
You tell us where we should maybe play Morelos.
I would play him up top about outright because we're struggling, and it gives you that. It gives you. See if you get effort for Alfie, and I think it's probably a two-way street. If you don't want him to be there, you play him to maybe get some value back for him, so we can sell him in January, or you play him because we're missing something. And there's no point saying he's on his last chance, isn't he? Last chance saloon. If he leaves, if he doesn't sign a new contract, he leaves for nothing. Done to the end of the season. So you play him now. If he does okay and something comes in January, even me 5-6 million, you take it. If he signs a new deal on less wages, you maybe take it. But you have to play him. You can't pay someone that amount of money sitting on the bench. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons the dressing room could be divided, because Alfie's got a lot of supporters in the squad who believe when he's in the team we play better. I could be wrong, but I would play him. But I would just like to say a lot of people gain Tav stick for not coming out to media, which is fair enough. But do you not think maybe Ross Wilson should come out and speak to us when they tell us why we didn't sign some players, why we maybe not get as much money, and about some of the players they're signing and where the recruitment is going? Because I think the fans deserve that, but we probably won't. I just think we deserve something because we're sitting getting sod all basically.
Lee, there's been a couple of suggestions that an unhappy Morelos has maybe contributed to a bit of a divide in the dressing room, or a bit of upset in the dressing room. Do you buy into that theory?
Mate, I don't know what's going on right now, because fair enough if his attitude's been stinking and that's the reason he get put out of the team at the started this. But I mean, I know it's a small positive, but when he came on against Celtic, he didn't get caught up in the emotion of it. And for me, that was somebody who was trying to maybe make amends. Like, he could have easily came on 4-0 and started just bloating people like he'd done in the past. But he wasn't. He was trying to make stuff happen. Wasn't working. For me, that kind of showed a sign that he's trying to make amends. In terms of the whole, would you start him? I think I'd be at this point, mate, more inclined to start both of them up front. Give that a try, because what's the fucking point in playing with wingers when the 4 wingers we've got are playing the equivalent of terrorism football? Honestly, it's ridiculous. None of our wingers are doing anything, so what's the point in playing any of them? Like, put 2 up front, maybe put some midfielders in behind them. Get Lawrence back, get Tillman gone. Fucking, I don't know what to do, but
put 2 up front and some midfielders in behind them.
There you go, mate. That's it, mate. What else can we do?
Practical genius.
Okay, you get two up.
You're as bad as me. Once you hit that third half, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. Listen, folks, I think it's good to finish on a laugh. It is what it is tonight. We've lost to a very good team. We're not happy with how we done it. We're not happy with how we played, how we set up, the attitude that the players took to the park with, but we still lost to a very, very good team. Let's not take that away from Ajax. We go on. Rangers go on to Pittodrie. Another really tough game. Really the hard week coming up again. We've got Pittodrie, Napoli, and then Dundee United. And we saw Dundee United ship 9 goals. A couple of weeks ago. So no doubt they'll turn up like PSG at Ibrox a week on Saturday. Aye,
I
so
don't think they have to turn up as PSG either.
but there we go. It's another tough week ahead. There's going to be plenty of content in the Rangers Rabble. As I mentioned earlier, we've got content between now and Saturday. We'll have our member show as well. Spoke earlier on in the match builder. If you join as a member, you'll get our member content. You can join our Super 6 League, which JD's doing worse than I am, believe it or not. So, so get onto that. It's just a bit of a laugh, and a chance to win £100. We're in it, but we can't win the £100. So whatever member finishes top of the pile come the end of the season, we'll have £100 coming their way. So get in, and if it is, if one of you win it, keep me in mind when you're going out for a wee drink with that £100. Folks, thanks very much for joining us. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. Big thank you to our sponsors at Zenith Coins. The details just passing below the bottom of your screen just now for a 10% discount. Some top quality products here, especially with Christmas in a few months. It might be a wee stocking filler for somebody. I hope my missus is watching and takes heed of that. So big thank you to Zenith Coins as well for their support. We'll catch you all tomorrow night. We'll get your comments and questions in again. JD, Lee, Kerr, thank you for joining me tonight. I know it's not been the easiest conversation in the world to have. We've all had a bit of a rant. We probably all feel a wee bit better. We'll feel a bit better, don't we? Aye. Right, folks. On that note, we'll catch you soon.